address this as a message that Mokole, you sent a message here. I'm not going to read the message to satisfy you, but shame on you if you're going to send anything like that to anybody at all. You don't have to send this to anybody.
Accra. Good afternoon, Ghana. It's 12 o'clock. Time to reach for mobile water. Mobile water, unique in every way.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connects you to the newsmakers.
City News.
It's midday. Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Citi Prime News. We're coming to you live from our studios at number 11, Dr. Martin Loop in Adwoa, Accra. I am Adwoa Tenkoramaa Domena. Coming up, Akwetia MP NSCR could be convicted of contempt of court by Koforidua High Court as a court issues bench warrant for his arrest.
What an NSCOMI should have done was to either file an appearance or, because it's a quasi-criminal matter like anybody who has gone to steal a sheep or a fowl, you have to be present in court to purge yourself of the contempt.
Also coming up in the bulletin.
Mr. Boche is still at post performing official duty. The earlier notice of strike action on 20th April 2025 still stands. I repeat.
Clocks act to embark on strike from tomorrow, February 20, following delays in reassigning births and death registrar. But the government says there is insufficient legal basis for the workers to proceed on strike.
So we would appeal to CLOSA to rescind their decision to go on strike. A strike action, we appreciate. It's one of the mechanisms through which they can drive home their demands. But in this particular instance, we do not believe that sufficient basis exists.
Still in the bulletin, several residents and pupils displaced after a rainstorm ripped off roof of several structures at Nintin in the Mampo municipality of the Ashanti region, and later concerns of potential spillover of Boko conflict exacerbate as Savannah Regional Minister warns of growing security threat.
So if you don't put in the necessary structures and defend the system, some people can transpose the conflict from their area to our area here. And this is something that we are taking seriously.
Stay with us for details of these and more stories coming your way in the next hour. The news is live across the globe on citynewsroom.com. Around the country, we are live on a number of affiliate stations in the western region. This is Premier 100.5 FM in Takoradi Beach, 105.5 FM in Takoradi. In the Bono region, Greener 95.9 FM in Sunyang. In the Ashanti region, we are on Orange 107.9 FM in Kumasi. If you're in the Volta region, tune into Holy 98.5 FM in Aplao. In the northern region, this is Dasuma 99.1 FM in Yendi. In Upper East, find us on Word 88.3 FM in Zwarungu. And in the Upper West region, we're on Bogli Radio 88.6 FM in Wa. Please stay for details.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connect you to the newsmakers.
Grateful you could join us this afternoon. Let's begin from the court. And the High Court sitting in Koforidua has convicted Akwatia Member of Parliament NSC Alkumi for contempt and issued a bench warrant for his arrest after he failed to appear for sentencing. Now the court had earlier placed an injunction barring him from being sworn in as Member of Parliament, but he defied that order. We've been joined in studio by court correspondent Hansen Ajaman for more on this. Hansen, thank you for joining us. What can you give us as a brief background to this case?
So after the 2024 polls, the National Democratic Congress in the Eastern region and in Akwatia had problems with the results as had been declared by the Electoral Commission. As a result of that, on January 31, 2025, they filed a petition at the High Court in Koforidua seeking to challenge the results in Akwatia. Subsequent, in December 31, they filed the petition in December 31, 2024. Subsequent to that, on January 2, they secured an interim injunction against NS Kumi from acting as an MP-elect, from being sworn in as Member of Parliament for Akwatia constituency. The injunction copy was also served on Parliament and also on the Clerk of Parliament from admitting NS Kumi as a Member of Parliament of elect and also swearing him in. Subsequent to this, lawyers of NS Kumi, led by Gary Nimakon, went back to the same High Court, and on January 5, 2025, arguments were heard as to whether the court should rescind its decision to injunct NS Kumi from acting as an MP-elect and from being sworn in as Member of Parliament for the Akwatia constituency. On January 6, which is the Monday to the January 7 for the swearing in, the court declined an application or dismissed an application by NS Kumi and his lawyers for that interim injunction to be lifted. What this meant was that on January 7, 2025, when MP elects were supposed to be sworn in, NS Kumi had an injunction on his head preventing him from being sworn in. When the matter came to the floor of Parliament, the Clerk of Parliament made it known to the House and to NS Kumi that he has received a copy of the court injunction, which he is mandated to obey, not to swear NS Kumi in as the Member of Parliament for Akwatia. NS Kumi had been allowed to go through the registration process because after the Electoral Commission is done with its election, what is called a writ of election is then sent to Parliament. It is based on the writ of election that the parliamentary staff and the clerk of parliament will facilitate the registration of MP elects. Now, the NS Kumi had gone through that process because at the time the registration was being done, there was no injunction on him, and so he had the right to be in parliament because he had already registered.
Right.
But the clerk of parliament made it known to him that he is enjoined by that injunction order not to swear him in.
But they went ahead.
But he made the point again that when it comes to court orders, the court has its own powers in enforcing its own order. And so for the clerk of parliament, his duty was to bring it to the attention of NS Kumi and to the attention of parliament. Then the minority leader, Alexander Apenyo took to his feet and said that with knowledge of what had transpired in the house before, essentially referring to referring to the situation in 2021, with respect to James Jachikwesin, where the NDC at the time also said that they've decided to carry their own cross and allow for James Jachikwesin to be sworn in. The NPP's leader, Apenyo Markin, indicated that NS Kumi is deciding to carry his own cross with knowledge of the consequences of his actions. He's decided to take the oath, even though he's aware of the injunction against him from the court. And so the court, the clerk of parliament, with this information and with NS Kumi electing to be sworn in despite a court injunction on him, went ahead to read the oath which NS Kumi took, and then he has continued to act as a member of parliament since then.
So now he's been cited for contempt. A bench warrant has been issued for his arrest. What does this mean, briefly?
What it means is that if the Ghana Police Service on knowledge of anywhere NS Kumi is, they can go and effect that arrest. But of course, they would have to avert their mind to the fact that he is a member of parliament for Akwetia, and so they need to look at other immunities that accrue to him as a member of parliament, where you cannot arrest a member of parliament when he's on his way to he's on his way to parliament, or he's coming back from parliamentary duties. But essentially what it means is that they have to arrest NS Kumi, bring him or send him to the High Court in Koforidua for the court to now sentence him, or if any mitigating prayer would come to his self-salvation.
Very well. Thank you so much for that explanation. That's Hanson Ajaman, who reports for us in court. But now let's hear from the lawyer for the 2024 National Democratic Congress parliamentary candidate for Akwetia, Bernard Bediako, briefing the media after court proceedings.
Today, the court, you would notice, you were all in court, that before the court gave his ruling, just a lawyer, Gary Nimakun, was on his feet and wanted to be heard, that he had filed some processes and thereby sought to stay the hands of the court from delivering his ruling. The court said, I don't recognize you. And I must say this, it is a bit shocking. And we lawyers don't usually critique one another or each other, because we have been trained not to. But I'm a bit surprised that Mr. Gary Nimakun would rise in open court in a contempt case, which we all know, we've all been trained and are aware that contempt proceedings are different from, because the standard of proof is even different. It has a different case number. And so what an NS should have done was to either file an appearance or bring his lawyer to file an appearance. An appearance is done, it's a document that you need to file. Or because it's a quasi-criminal matter, like anybody who has gone to steal a sheep or a fowl, you have to be present in court to purge yourself of the contempt. You don't send a lawyer who has filed nothing. And you would recall that Since the inception of this case, Mr. Gary Nimako has always been coming to court, and he hasn't even filed an appearance consistent with Order 9 of CI 47. And this is serious, but we are waiting, and we will meet him at the Supreme Court. That's a different matter. But you see, today the court said that I don't recognize you because you are not the contemnor, you are not an Yaokumi, and you haven't filed anything in this case. So who are you in the matter? So the court said, I won't even record you. And so that is why that arbitration happened, and then Gary had to be in his seat for the court to proceed.
You heard Bernard Bediako, his lawyer for the 2024 National Democratic Congress parliamentary candidate for Akwatia. Counsel for Ernest Kumi, Gary Nimako, has however denied to comment on the proceedings. But we'll bring you update on this very matter in a subsequent bulletin. Let's move on now to some other pressing issues. And the Civil and Local Government Staff Association of Ghana, CLOGSAG, has begun informing its members to stay home on February 20, 2025 in protest against the appointment of Samuel Adomboche as registrar of the Births and Deaths Registry. Now, a vehicle has been moving between ministries, urging members to halt work until the government acts. Despite early assurances from the presidency about his replacement, CLOGSAG insists Samuel Adomboche is still in office and carrying out his duties. Here's the announcement from CLOGSAG to its members.
Strike, strike. This announcement goes to all CLOGSAG members. This announcement goes to all CLOGSAG members. As of today, CLOGSAG has not received any official correspondence on the reassignment of Mr. Paul Adomboche, who was appointed Registrar of Births and Deaths Registry. Mr. Boche is still at post performing official duty. The earlier notice of strike action on 20th February 2025 still stands. I repeat, the earlier notice of strike action on February 20th to 2025 still stands. All CLOGSAG members should stay at home from tomorrow, Thursday 20th February 2025 for further notice. I repeat, all CLOGSAG members should stay at home from tomorrow, Thursday 20th February 2025 until further notice. We need to take back our position as civil servants and not as a politician.
So that's an announcement from a van moving across ministries to inform CLOGSAG members of a planned strike effective tomorrow. Meanwhile, the government is arguing that the strike lacks sufficient legal basis. Government spokesperson Felix Kwachiofosu, addressing the press, urged CLOGSAG to reconsider the strike and express willingness to engage in further dialogue to address their concerns.
If it is the view of CLOGSAG that in the past civil servants have occupied it, it does not mean that any other person apart from a civil servant cannot occupy that position. And we need to act strictly in accordance with Ghanaian law, even as we continue to engage and dialogue on how we govern our country. We are aware of similar agitations in the past against the appointee of President Akufo-Addo. And we do know that a court case emanated from that particular engagement. As we speak, I am not aware that the court has determined the matter. So until this law is revoked or there is judicial pronouncement that says that this particular law is illegal and should be struck, we believe that the president has acted correctly in respect of the appointment of Mr. Adomboche. So we would appeal to CLOGSAG to rescind their decision to go on strike. A strike action, we appreciate, is one of the mechanisms through which they can drive home their demands. They can compel government to take a look at their grievances. But in this particular instance, we do not believe that sufficient basis exists to go on strike, because it will be unfair to the people of Ghana who pay the wages of all public officials, including members of CLOGSAG, that on the basis of a belief which is not backed by law, they go on strike. I don't think that we will be doing right by the people of Ghana if that position is sustained.
You heard that Felix Kwachiofosu, his Minister of State for Government Communications. You're still listening to the Citi Prime News. Still ahead in the bulletin, several residents and people displaced after rainstorm ripped off roof of several structures at Nintin in the Mampo municipality of the Shanti region. We have details of this and more stories coming your way. Please stay.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connect you to the newsmakers.
This March, we invite you to splash in the pool of cultural expressivity and soak yourself in the celebration of indigenous authenticity in our Heritage Month. Join us for the Heritage Month launch on Friday, February 28th as we kick off a month of unforgettable experiences. Pack your bags for the Heritage Caravan, a week-long adventure across Ghana from March the 2nd to the 9th. Discover the beauty and history of our land.
An opportunity to see Ghana in a more beautiful and the people, the connection.
Savor the flavors at the Back to Your Village Food Festival, a culinary extravaganza on March 29th and 30th.
The millet tozafi, the corn tozafi, we have the tubani, we have the wache, we have the dawadawa jollof rice. We also serve the local northern beverages. That's Bito and Zonko.
Taste the essence of Ghana.
The first one I was here, the second one I was here, the third one I was here, this one and the fourth one. And it's not just a bazaar, it's a festival now. And I'm so excited because this is what we should be doing.
Tune in to the Heritage On Air series on 97.3 Citi FM and Channel 1 TV. Each week, delve into what makes us Ghanaians.
Owusu is a general account name. It's Dev's character. Owusu. So that is why the appellation is Owusu Eduam. You see, when an Ashanti is Eduam, it means something that belongs to him. So Dev's character, he comes to you and grab you as if it belongs to him.
Explore our places of interest, feel the rhythm of our music, journey through our religious history, and indulge in indigenous Ghanaian food. Join us to celebrate our heritage this Heritage Month, where every moment is a story. Only on Channel 1 TV and 97.3 Citi FM.
Let's get Hilford, Mensa Saba, background, Sagin Ajete, and all who.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connects you to the newsmakers.
You're welcome back to the bulletin. Thank you for staying with us. Now, former Public Relations Officer of the Ministry of Education under the Akufo-Addo government, Kwesi Kwarteng, says the decision to restructure Parent-Teacher Associations (PTAs) was aimed at preventing financial exploitation. Education Minister Haruna Idrisu, speaking at a public forum last week, announced the reinstatement of PTAs in the management framework of public schools to strengthen cooperation between parents and teachers. Reacting to this announcement, Mr. Kwarteng clarified that PTAs were restructured and not scrapped to allow parents to operate independently.
We noticed that most of these PTAs, by and large, had been turned into revenue generation schemes, and where, in most instances, where parents are unable to pay dues and financial obligations in whatsoever form, it tends to affect even the education of their students, where in most cases students were sacked from class, were prevented from writing exams. So with the introduction of the free senior high school policy, and also being cognizant of the fact that government has to take a lot of the financial obligations of parents, we redefined the role of the PTA to the extent that now we give a true representation to what a parent association should be. And so the solution was to just separate the parent association from the teacher association. Of course, we are also mindful of the fact that the parent association this time around made their own contributions and support voluntarily to the schools and still collaborated with the schools. So I would say that the only component that was abolished was the compulsory levying of the PTA members to the extent that they had a toll on the academic activities of their wards, particularly in situations where they were unable to make financial payments or obligations by virtue of their membership to the association. That was what we did.
Kwesi Kwarteng is former Public Relations Officer of the Ministry of Education under the Akufo-Addo government. Now let's take you to the Ashanti region, where a rainstorm has ripped off the roofs of several structures, including Presbyterian Basic School at Nentin in the Mampo municipality of the Ashanti region. The incident occurred around 3 p.m. on February 18, 2025, following a drizzle that was accompanied by strong winds moving beyond Nentin and affecting nearby communities like Shridium. We'll go on the phone lines and speak with Ashanti regional correspondent Doris Lonta for more on this. Doris, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us.
Good afternoon, Adwoa.
How many people have been displaced, including students and residents, following this incident?
For now, we don't have a specific number, but over 10 houses have been affected, including the Mintin Frezi Primary School. But we don't have a specific number of people who have been affected or displaced. Because the situation is still under assessment.
Paint a picture to us what the current atmosphere in the area is like.
All right. So currently, the pupils of Mintin Frezi Primary School have been asked to go home, as the teachers and other people are around to ensure that the roofs and other things that were the wind blew away havotably are put under control or gathered together, such that tomorrow, if the pupils return, there wouldn't be any form of injury. Because according to the head teacher who we spoke with, he said that tomorrow the pupils will be coming back to school and that they are going to merge the junior high school students such that they will have 3 classrooms for the primary school so that teaching and learning can go on. So that's the situation here at the primary school. And also with residents who have been affected, currently they are packing their things out of the rooms and drying them. And also they tell us that in the evening they are going to seek for a place in nearby houses to sleep. Yes, so that's the situation here at Mintin.
Right. Before I let you go, has there been any response from authorities and by authorities, perhaps the NADMO, the National Disaster Management Organization?
Yes, so the NADMO director for Mampong was here to assess the situation, and he said that he's going to speak with the MP and other stakeholders, and that by close of the month or by the end of this month, there will be some form of relief for the people who have been affected by the storm.
Very well. Thank you so much for those updates. That's Doris Lonta. She is Ashanti Regional Correspondent. From the Ashanti region, let's head to the Savannah region, where the Regional Minister Salisu Bey Awurebe has expressed concerns over a potential spillover of the Boko conflict into the region. Now, he cites recent incidents in Wale linked to the crisis as a growing security threat. Speaking to journalists after a stakeholder meeting, he assured that security forces would remain on high alert to prevent any unrest.
In the same way, the upper east and then upper west regions are proximate to Savannah region, and the spillover of the Boku chieftaincy issues is affecting the Savannah region. You know that if you pass through that of Sandema area, you can come through that of Daboya, and because of that conflict, some of the traffic is diverted from the main road or passing through the northeast region, through the Sandema to Daboya and to this area. So if you don't put in the necessary structures and defend the system, some people can transpose the conflict from their area to our area here. And this is something that we are taking seriously. So we've actually set up the dialogue to liaise with other RCCs for us to be able to get a lasting, more befitting solution to handle the chieftaincy, the security aspect, whilst leaving the chieftaincy and other tribal matters to the customer people to be able to handle.
You heard the Savannah Regional Minister Salisu Bey Awurebe. Away from that, now General Manager of Citi FM and Channel 1 TV, Bernard Avle, has raised concerns over successive government failure to recognize the critical role of journalists in addressing national issues, particularly in the fight against corruption. Speaking as a guest at an active citizenship dialogue in honor of the late legal luminary Akoto Ampao, Bernard Avle cited the work of investigative journalism outfit like the Fourth Estate in uncovering the contentious revenue mobilization deal between the Ghana Revenue Authority, GRA, and Strategic Mobilization Ghana Limited, SML. He also referenced a recent report exposing payment infractions within the National Service Scheme. Bernard Avle reaffirmed the media's commitment to championing active nation building.
Africa Center for Energy Policy. The president's statement asking KPMG to investigate didn't even acknowledge the work of the journalists in an attempt to delegitimize the work of civic advocacy. That is wrong. Even if you want to order KPMG to investigate, you have to acknowledge that it was the journalist who brought the issue to your light. We are not investigative bodies. So what I said to the guy was that even though he's not an investigative body, he has a right to my platform. Because in your statement, you don't acknowledge him. But how I acknowledge him? Because journalism's first obligation is to the truth, and his loyalty is to citizens. not to the government. And if you are doing something as government, maybe you want to protect the regime, but our responsibility is to the people. So we will put them on air and give them air mileage, because the nature of commercial journalism prevents certain kinds of stories to be done, because there are lots of commercial interests linked in corruption. So the fourth estate experiment is a good experiment, where you have public interest media with financing covered, and they can do hard work. What do? We the traditional guys, we will take the work to the next level.
Well, that's Bernard Avlehi, General Manager of Citi FM and Channel 1 TV. In a related development, the government has criticized the Ghana Journalists Association, GJA, for not using proper channels to address concerns about assaults on journalists. Now, this follows the GJA's press briefing on February 18, where it condemned the Mahama administration over 7 reported attacks on journalists since the president took office. In response, government spokesperson Felix Kwachiofosu stated that the government will meet with the GJA next week to address these concerns.
7 journalists had been attacked, and statements were made that sought to create the impression that there is some design by President Mahama and his government to attack journalists. It is a most regrettable narrative. We do not think that it is fair to President Mahama, it is fair to government, it is even fair to the Ghana Journalists Association, or even to the journalists who are reported to have been attacked. Subsequent to the press conference, I have engaged the president of the Ghana Journalists Association in my capacity as the minister responsible for government communications, which then means that journalists, as you are, who we work with, are part of the stakeholders that we need to engage regularly. I sought to find out exactly what informed the press conference and why other alternative approaches were not adopted as the matters with a view to seeking redress for those who may have been affected. After the conversation, we agreed that early next week there should be a direct interaction between my office and the Ghana Journalists Association. So I hope that that meeting comes off, and at that meeting we'll be able to address any concerns that journalists may have.
Felix Kwachiofosu is the Minister of State for Government Communications. Now, the Minister for the Interior, Muntaka Mubarak, has pledged to shield the police service from political interference. Concerns over political influence in security services have been growing. During a working visit to the Ghana Police Service after assuming office, the Minister assured officers of his commitment to their independence.
Government plans to ensure that the Ghana Police Service is insulated from political interference and undertake a comprehensive human resource audit to ensure service delivery. Also, there are plans to revamp the police public order management schools in Wolugu, roll out a transparent police education and scholarship scheme, and introduce state-of-the-art technology for police operations.
Interior Minister Muntaka Mubarak, bringing us to the end of today's edition of the Citi Prime News, which has been live from our studio in Adabraka, Accra. Please log on to citynewsroom.com for more stories. I am Adwoa Tenkoramaa Domena. Many thanks for your company. Good afternoon.
City News, we speak first. Reach our hotline on 0302-224959 and get interactive on Facebook, City 97.3 FM, and on Twitter at City 973.